Good morning, students. Welcome back. I hope all of you are safe and fit at home, studying well and completing your work on time. This video is for the students of class 8, subject English. And today in this video, we are going to cover one chapter of our textbook, that is Honeydew. This is our chapter number 8 and the name of the chapter is Jalebis. This chapter is written by Ahmad Nadeem Kasmi. This is my lecture number 1 of the same chapter. This chapter is taken from Honeydew book. Students, we shall cover this chapter in 2 lectures. Topics to be covered in today's lecture are: first of all, we shall read about the author. Then, the objectives of the chapter will be read. Then, the main key points of the chapter will be read. Then, introduction of the chapter will be read. After then, the story of part 1 and 2 will be explained line by line along with word meanings. At last, homework will be assigned. Before start reading the chapter in detail, let me tell you about the author first. Ahmad Nadeem Kasmi was born on 20th November 1916 at Anga, Khushab district in British India. His pen name was Nadeem. He was famous Urdu poet, journalist, writer and scholar. His genre of writing were poetry and afsana. He had won Pride of Performance and Sitara-e-Imtiaz awards. He died on 10th July 2006 at the age of 89 at Lahore in Pakistan. This was all about the author. So before start reading the chapter in detail, first of all let's see what are the main objectives of this chapter. Number 1, to make pupils know the innocent mind of a schoolboy. Number 2, to enable them understand what is right and what is wrong. Number 3, to help them recollect their previous experiences. Number 4, to encourage them narrate their silly and funny mistakes done in the past. Number 5, to enrich their minds with practical aspects of life. So now let's see what are the main key points of the chapter. Jalebis are central to this story. The schoolboy in the story carries 4 rupees to school in order to pay the fee. The coins in his pocket persuade, means to make someone agree the boy to go wrong. He spends all the 4 rupees in buying jalebis. He repents his foolishness and prays to God for the help of 4 rupees in vain. However, this bitter experience teaches the sweet boy a valuable lesson. So before start reading the chapter, let us see the introduction first. Jalebis is a short story about a child's dilemma, means a situation in which a difficult choice has to be made between 2 or more alternatives. After he spends his school fees on mouth-watering jalebis. In the story, we come across the themes of innocence, childhood, prayers, and integrity. The narrator is a young boy who gives in to the temptation of eating jalebis. He uses the money for his school fees thinking that he will pay for it using the scholarship money. Little did he realize that he was resorting to lies by doing this. Being a virtuous means having or showing high moral standards child, he contemplates. Contemplates means think about for some time but ultimately gives in. His prayers are very innocent and sincere in nature. He even thinks of bribing God to lend him 4 rupees. But his innocent mind fails to realize that God cannot help everyone just by asking for something. He fails to realize that it was his duty to inform his parents about using the school's fees for eating jalebis. Also, he does not realize the danger he had undertaken while going away from school to escape punishment. Thus, we see that the author has masterfully crafted a story of a child's innocence which is overwhelmed. Overwhelmed means have a strong emotional affection by the greed of eating jalebis. So now let us read the story of part 1 to know about what is there in the chapter. It happened many years ago. I was in the 5th standard at the government school. I stands for the author, Kambalpur, now called Atak. One day I went to school with 4 rupees in my pocket to pay the school fees and the fund. Means the author takes us many years back when he was in 5th standard at a government school named Kambalpur then and Atak now. He tells us how one day he went to school with money in his pocket to pay for the school fees and fund. It had a total of 4 rupee worth of coins. When I got there, I found that the teacher who collected the fees, Master Ghulam Muhammad, was on leave, and so the fees would be collected the next day. Although the day the coins simply sat in my pocket. Means upon reaching school, he got to know that the teacher who was in charge of collecting the fees, Master Ghulam Muhammad, was absent that day. So he was supposed to give the fees the following day. He carried the coins in his pocket all day. But once school got over and I was outside, they began to speak. They means coins. All right, coins don't speak or don't talk. They jingle or go khanak khanak. Khanak khanak means sound of jingling of coins. But I am telling you that day they actually spoke. Means but after the school hours or hours, the coins begin talking. The author accepts that coins in general don't speak. All they do is clank against each other to make a jingling sound. But that particular day in the author's life they spoke. One coin said, "What are you thinking about? Those fresh hot jalebis coming out of kadhao in the shop over there." Jalebis means syrup Indian sweet. Kadhao means large open pot for cooking or boiling. They are not coming out for nothing. Means one of the 4 coins asked him what else he was up to when fresh hot jalebis were being prepared in the shop near him. Jalebis are meant to be eaten and only those with money in their pocket can eat them, and money isn't for nothing. Money is meant to be spent and only they spend it who like jalebis. Means the coin told him that they are not being made without purpose. They are meant to be eaten, and especially by those who have enough money in their pocket to be able to afford them. He said that money also isn't for nothing. It is meant to be spent, and especially by those who are fond of jalebis. Look here, you 4 rupees. I said to them, I am a good boy. Don't misguide me, or it won't be good for you. I get so much at home that I consider even looking at something in the bazaar a sin. Means the author replied and told the coins that he was a good and obedient child. He told them not to mislead him because it would do them no good. He mentioned that he was fortunate enough to get a lot from home, that even putting his gaze upon something in the market seemed like an immoral thing to do. Besides, you are my fees and fund money. If I spend you today, then how shall I show my face to Master Ghulam Muhammad in school tomorrow, and after that to Allah Mia at Qayamat? Qayamat means Judgment Day. You probably don't know it, but when Master Ghulam Muhammad gets angry and makes you stand on the bench, he simply forgets to let you sit till the last bell rings. Means, above all, he told them to maintain silence, and they were for his fees and fund. They means coins. He told them that spending them would be a mistake because he was supposed to face Master Ghulam Muhammad in school the following day, and he was also answerable to Allah Mia on the Judgment Day. He told the coins that they must be unaware, but when Master Ghulam Muhammad gets angry and punishes someone, he makes them stand on the bench and very easily forgets about allowing you to sit till the school is finished. So it is best you stop chewing at my ears like this and let me go home straight. Means, thus he advised them means coins, not to eat his ears with their continuous talk and allow him to go straight way to his home. The coins disliked what I had said so much that all of them began to speak at the same time. There was such a clamor. Clamor means loud noise, that passers-by in the bazaar stared, eyes wide with surprise, at me and my pocket. The coins of those days, the wretched means terrible thing, made so much more noise too. Finally, in a panic, I grabbed all 4 of them and held them tight in my fist, and then they were silent. Means the coins unfortunately did not like what he told them. Thus, they all began talking at the same time. They created so much noise that everyone in the market looked at him and his pocket with their eyes wide open in amazement. The author mentioned that the coins during those times made a lot of sound as compared to the ones we have today. In sudden nervousness, he took the 4 coins out of his pocket and grasped them very firmly in his fist, which finally made them quiet. After taking a few steps, I loosened my grip. Immediately, the oldest coin said, here we are trying to tell you something for you on good, and you try to strangle us instead. Tell me honestly now, Don't you feel like eating those hot jalebis? Means, once he reached a few steps further, he silently opened his fist, and the oldest coin suddenly began speaking about how they were looking out for his own good, and how instead of thanking them or listening to them, he is trying to quiz them. The coin tried to persuade him further by asking him if he himself did not wish to eat those hot, fresh jalebis. And then, if you do end up spending us for today, won't you get the scholarship money tomorrow? Sweets with the fees money, fees with the scholarship money. End of story. किस्सा खत्म पैसा हजम. Kissa khatam paisa hazam means end of story. Literally, story ends, money disappears. Means, moreover, they told him that it wouldn't be able to big deal if he spent those four today, because he was supposed to receive the scholarship money the next day. So he could buy jalebis with the fees and fund the money to pay the fees with the scholarship money. They made it all seem very simple and told him that money well spent would put the story to an end. What you are saying isn't right, I replied, but it isn't that wrong either. Listen, stop babbling. Babbling means taking confusedly. And let me think. I am not a common sort of boy, but then these jalebis are no common sort of jalebis either. They are crisp, fresh, and full of sweet syrup. Means the author told them, means to coins, that what they were talking about was not correct. But he also knew it wasn't completely incorrect either. So he asked them to stop talking foolishly and let him concentrate. He thought to himself that he was not some regular boy, and similarly he realized that the sweets weren't any regular jalebis either. They were crunchy, crispy, fresh, made and loaded with sugar syrup. My mouth watered, but I wasn't about to be swept away so easily. In school, I was among the most promising students in the fourth standard exams. I had even won a scholarship of 4 rupees a month. Means his mouth watered at the thought of jalebis, but he was not a someone who could be easily manipulated either. He revealed that he was one of the brightest students in school. He even won himself a scholarship in his fourth standard examination. Thus, he received 4 rupees each month as a result of that. Besides, I came from a particularly well-to-do family, so I enjoyed considerably prestige. Prestige means respect. I had never once been beaten so far. On the contrary, Masterji had got me to beat the other boys. For a child of such status, standing there in the middle of the bazaar eating jalebis. No, I wasn't right. I decided I clenched. Clenched means closed into a tight ball, means of the finger or hand. The rupayas means rupees in my fist and came home. Means, moreover, he came from a financially stable family, so he was well aware about his advantage. He was also obedient, so he never got any beating as punishment. In fact, his teachers asked him to beat other boys. It led him into thinking that a child of such superior ranking, standing in between the bazaar, eating jalebis won't be such a pleasant scenario. Thus, he made his decision, held the coins tight in fist, and went home. The coins were so keen on being spent that day. They kept up their attempts at persuasion. Persuasion means induce, till their voice began to choke. When I reached home and sat on bed, they began to speak. I went inside to have lunch. They began to shriek. Shriek means scream, means make noise. Thoroughly fed up, I rushed out of the house barefoot and ran towards the bazaar. Means that particular day the coins were very interested about the prospects of being spent. They tried their best to convincing the author even until they had to struggle for their breath. They began talking once again when he sat on his bed upon reaching home. When he went inside for lunch, they began screaming a lot. This made the author so annoyed that he hurried outside the house with naked feet in the direction of the bazaar. Terrified I was, but quickly I told the halwai to weigh a whole rupee worth of jalebis. His astonished look seemed to be asking where I had the hand cart in which I would carry all those jalebis. Those were inexpensive times. 1 rupee fetched more than 20 rupees does nowadays. The halwai opened up a whole newspaper and heaped a pile of jalebis on it. Halwai means sweet seller. Means despite being horrified, he asked the jalebi sellers, means to halwai, to give him jalebis worth a rupee. The halwai gave him a surprised look when he saw no hand cart around him in which he would carry all those jalebis. Even 1 rupee could yield more than what 20 rupees in the present times. Those were truly inexpensive times. Thus, the halwai at last grabbed an entire piece of newspaper to put jalebis on it. So now let us read the story of part 2 in detail. Just I was gathering up the heap, in the distance I spotted our tonga. Tonga means two-wheeled horse-drawn vehicle. Chacha Jan means uncle, was returning from court. I clutched means grasped tightly the jalebis to my chest and ran into a gully. When I reached a safe corner, I began to devour. Devour means eat quickly. The jalebis. I ate so many jalebis that if anyone pressed my stomach a little, jalebis would have popped out of my ears and nostrils. Nostrils means nose. Means his eyes fell upon their tonga as he was piling up his jalebis. His Chacha Jan happened to be going back from the court at the same time. He held the jalebis close to his chest and rushed inside a narrow lane, means gully. As soon as he reached a secure area, he began eating his jalebis hurriedly. He ended up consuming so many jalebis that if anyone applied pressing on his stomach, jalebis would come out of his nose and ears. Very quickly, boys from the entire neighborhood assembled in the gully. By that time, I was so pleased with my stomach full of jalebis that I got into the mood for some fun. I started handing out jalebis to the children around. Delighted, they ran off, jumping and screaming into the gullies. Soon a whole lot of other children appeared, probably having heard the good news from the others. Means on seeing him with the jalebis, other boys from the nearby area gathered around him. He had been so full by that time that he decided to have some enjoyment or fun. He distributed the jalebis to children around him. It made them so happy that they began running, jumping, and shouting in the gully. When others heard about it, they came to him too. I dashed means run somewhere in great hurry, to the halwai and bought one more rupees worth of jalebis, came back and stood on the chabutra means platform of one of the houses, liberally distributing jalebis to the children just like the governor sahib. Sahib means a word of Arabic origin means companion used to distribute rice to the poor and needy on Independence Day. By now, there was a huge mob of children around me. Mob means a large crowd of people. The beggars too launched an assault. Assault means attack. If children could be elected to the assembly, may success would have been assured that day, because one little single from my jalebi wielding hand means the hand that held jalebis, and the move would have been willing to kill and get killed for me. Means when his pile of jalebis got finished, he rushed to the halwais to get more 1 rupees worth of jalebis for the children. When he came back, he stood on the platform built outside one of the houses and handed out jalebis to the little children, just like the governor sahib in their area used to give away rice to the needy on occasion of Independence Day. At this point of time, he was covered with the whole crowd of children around him. Even the beggars came. There was so much excitement that it felt as if they were attacking him. He further mentions how, if the children were to be appointed in the assembly, he would have surely won with a majority that day. He says that madness was such that even if he gave a single sign from his hand in which he held jalebis, the crowd would have killed and agreed to be killed for him. I bought jalebis for the remaining 2 rupees as well and distributed them. Then I washed my hands and mouth at the public tap and returned home, putting on such an innocent face as if I hadn't even seen the hint of a jalebi all my life. Jalebis I had gobbled means eat hurriedly and noisily, up easily enough, but digesting them became another matter. Means he spent the remaining 2 rupees also on the jalebis and gave it out to them. When it all ended, he cleaned his hands and mouth using the public tap and went home with a face so innocent so as to not any suspicion. He put on a clueless expression that conveyed that he had not even heard about or seen jalebis in his entire life. Next, it was not an easy task for his body to assimilate and digest the pile of jalebis as easy it was for him to devour them. With every breath came a burp, and with every burp the danger of bringing out a jalebi or two. The fear was killing me. At night I had to eat my dinner as well. If I hadn't eaten, I would have been asked to explain why I don't want any food. And if I had pretended illness, the doctor would have been summoned. Summoned means sent for, called. And if the doctor, after feeling my pulse, had declared Munna as devoured and mound. Mound means a large pile or quantity of something of jalebis. I would simply die. Means as often as he breathed, a burp came out of his mouth and he was scared to death with the fear of throwing out one or two jalebis. While this was going on, he was forced to have dinner as well because otherwise he would have to offer an explanation for not being hungry. If he said he was sick, his family would call a doctor to get his checkup done, and just by chance, if the doctor, after having felt his pulse, revealed that he had gobbled up a large pile of jalebis, he would have simply died with the revelation. So that's all. I hope all of you have understood this chapter. Rest of the chapter will be covered in the next lecture. Students, you have to complete your homework on the basis of the chapter explained by me. And your homework is read chapter 8, that is Jalebis, and write word meanings mentioned in the video. Based on the understanding of the chapter, write the answers of the questions mentioned in the book Honeydew as. Page number 64, comprehension check, question number 1 to 5. Students, write the meanings of the following words in your English Fair notebook. Number 1 is clamor, clamor. Number 2 is wretched. Number 3 is prestige. Number 4 is shriek. Number 5 is devour. So now let us see comprehension check, which is on page number 64. Question number 1 is, why didn't he pay the school fees on the day he brought money to school? Question number 2 is, part 1, what were the coins saying to him? Part 2, do you think they were misguiding him? Question number 3 is, why didn't he take the coins' advice? Give 2 or 3 reasons. Question number 4 is part 1. What did the oldest coin tell him? Part 2 is, did he follow his advice? If not, why not? Question number 5 is, he reached home with the coins in his pocket. What happened then? So that's all for today. This is the end of the lecture. Students, if you like our videos, then hit on the like button and don't forget to subscribe our channel. Thank you and have a nice day.